Well, good morning. This is Sharon from Books, Blooms, and Bread, and thank you for joining me on my third video. Special thank you to all my friends and family who have been watching and cheering me on this whim that I got and decided to start a BookTube channel. I just discovered BookTube this past year and have loved being exposed to all sorts of different books and authors. So I just thank you for taking your time to watch and cheer me on, and I really do appreciate it. So today I'm going to go over, I have been over probably the past 2 months collecting books, either through book sales, trip I took where I got some, and also buying used books online. So I've been buying quite a few, and also using the library in between. So I don't know whether I had stated before, but I'm a big proponent of the library, and I utilize the library a lot. I do not buy a lot of new books just for the reason that I think that if I'm not sure I'm going to love an author, it really seems crazy to me to spend $15, $20 or more on a book that either I love and I read it in a week or a few days, or really don't like it and then it kind of sits on the shelf. So I feel like I'm saving trees by using used books and getting those. And but I strongly encourage you. I just discovered this year, I knew there was a library app, but I discovered the Libby and the Palace app as well. And that's been great for ebooks, audiobooks, I'm sorry, to listen to, especially when I'm walking. So I really enjoy that. And it's been, maybe you can't get something as quickly as you could on Audible, but I like the fact that I'm supporting the library, and the more we use it, I think it's better. So anyways, without further ado, I'm going to start on a few of the books I have here. One of those is Love Lies Bleeding, and this is Edmund Crispin is the author, and I believe this is set in the interwar years, or not even sure exactly when it is. I just know it's probably early 20th century, and it's a Gervasi Finn mystery. So I'd heard of Edmund Crispin. I think this is kind of going back to sort of the golden age of mysteries. And so this one is set at a boarding school. So Castrevin-Ford School, boy, can't talk today, is preparing for speech day, and Professor Gervasi Finn is called upon to present the prizes. However, the night before the big day, strange events take place that leave 2 members of the staff dead. The headmaster turns to Professor Finn to investigate the murders. While disentangling the facts of the case, Finn is forced to deal with student love affairs, a kidnapping, and a lost Shakespearean manuscript. By turns hilarious and chilling, Love Lies Bleeding is a classic of the detective genre. So, looking forward to that. Really know nothing too much about it. I haven't looked it up to see what the reviews are or anything. I'm really trying to do that more now when I pick up a book, because I don't want to go into it with preset perceptions based on other reviews. One man's flop is another man's, wow, that was a great book. So, occasionally some come along that are just lemons, but I think, most of us, we all have tastes, and at different times things work. So anyways, Love Lies Bleeding by Edmund Crispin. And the other one, another one I picked up, is Alan Titchmarsh, England, Our England. And this is kind of a short little snippets of poems and stories and recipes about England. And it says, from the verses of Jerusalem to the secret of a perfect Yorkshire pud, Alan Titchmarsh celebrates England and Englishness in this wonderfully entertaining miscellany. So cute little things here. The village fair, the fete. Alan Titchmarsh, if you don't know who he is, you know, Monty Don's kind of the godfather of English gardening, and Alan Titchmarsh, I think, is probably second. And he just seems like a lovely man. He's got some wonderful documentaries on old English castles and houses. So it looks fun and light, and probably will be something I dip into when I kind of hit a funk and maybe in between books. Also, I found out this week in poking around that he has actually written fiction books as well. And so I have a couple of those in my thrift books. Okay. And I'm not sponsored by Thrift Books or anything. It's just what I've been using because there's an app on my phone, and that's kind of my storage spot. So just let you know. Next is Richard Osman, The Last Devil to Die. And I read one of these. It might be the first book of the series, and I was a little underwhelmed, which I was surprised, because I had heard good things. It was on my wish list because it had popped up in things you might want to read. However, it just didn't talk to me. But I know it's a very popular series. You see them all around, so I decided to give another shot. And this one is: an old friend in the antiques business has been killed, and a dangerous package he was protecting has gone missing. As the gang spring into action, they encounter art forgers, online fraudsters, and drug dealers, as well as heartache close to home. With the body count rising, the package still missing, and trouble firmly on their tail, has their luck finally run out? And who will be the last devil to die? So I'm going to give it another shot and go from there. This book I just got this week. I ordered, and it's Celia Emery, Orphans of the Storm. And I don't know if any of you know her by name. If you watch a lot of British television, you would certainly know her face. She was in the Marigold Hotel movies. She's been in a ton of movies. She's a British actress. Calendar Girls. Yeah, quite a few. I had no idea she wrote books, and it was only this popped up, and so I kind of read about her as an author, and I think she's got 4 or 5 books. This one is Nice, France, 1911. Young seamstress Marcella Navratil decides to divorce her cruel husband Michael. But while awaiting the judge's decision on the custody of their 2 small boys, Michael receives life-changing news. Meanwhile, New York socialite Margaret Hayes is touring Europe. Restless, she resolves to head home aboard the most celebrated steamer in the world, drumroll, I think you know what's coming, the RMS Titanic. As the ship sets sail, the paths of Marcella, Michael, and Margaret cross, and nothing will ever be the same. So Joanna Lumley, which some of you may know, she said smashing. I loved all that she wrote about the true story behind the thrilling tale. So I have no idea. I just thought, shoot, I'd love to try it, and Titanic, and I have no idea exactly what to expect, but I think it'll be fun. So next, sorry, my ums. I discovered Lucinda Riley last year, strolling through the bookshelves at the library, and what an amazing author she was. Just, I would say she's right up there. Her genre is Rosamund Pilcher, Marcia Willett, Maeve Binchy. Just fabulous stories about people. They grip you and you just go. She has a bunch of standalone books that I have quite a few of those as well. But this one I picked up on my trip, but it is, I believe, number 5 in the series. I need to read number 4. So it's called the Seven Sisters series. And I don't know if you've heard of it, and it relates to the Seven Sisters, the constellation in the sky. But the premise is a billionaire, multimillionaire adopts these 6 young women. Or is it 7? I can't remember right now, but 7 sisters, I think. I'll probably 7. And they're raised in a loving, wonderful home, lakeside home in Geneva, Switzerland, with every benefit, loving father. And so the book opens with the father, Pa Salt. He has died suddenly. And all the girls are called back home to Switzerland from all over the world. And he leaves them each a clue as to where they came from, where they were adopted from. But it's a clue they have to go in search of. So each daughter goes on a journey. And the first book, you go to Brazil, and I believe is called the Cristo, or it's the Christ up on top of the mountain. And it discusses, it's historical fiction. So you're the architect and I believe the builder of that statue were involved in the book. It's all fictionalized, but it's just lovely. The second one was set in Norway. The third one was set in, I believe it was the Lake District. And number 4 is set in Scotland. And so they're just lovely books. And each book is about each sister and them finding their way and finding their heritage. And then ultimately, I believe the series, you have to read the series in order. You get to the point, I believe there might be a missing sister, and then it kind of wraps up about Pa Salt. So I cannot wait. I need to order the next one to read it first before this, but I got it, and I'm eventually going to start collecting as I find them, all of the Seven Sisters series, because I love it. And everybody I've turned on to, Lucinda Riley, has enjoyed her books as well. I received this week, and this is Lady Almina and the Real Downton Abbey. And this is written by the Countess of Carnarvon, which is Highclere Castle, where they filmed Downton Abbey. So this just looks absolutely wonderful. It's about Lady Almina and her life and the life of Highclere Castle. And it looks great. There's pictures in here, shooting and hunts and parties and things. And when it was used as a convalescent hospital, I believe during World War I. And so I am really looking forward to this book. Probably like many of you, watched all of Downton Abbey and the movies, and just this one's going to be quite enjoyable, I feel. This is the book I wanted to talk about. I should go in order, but I'm not. I'm going to be a rebel. This is called An Impossible Thing, and this is a book about women becoming gardeners in the pre-suffragette movement. So it says it's a Garden Illustrated and RHS Book of the Year. An Impossible Thing follows 6 extraordinary women in the years before the First World War, telling the stories of how they battled derision and prejudice to become professional gardeners in an era of suffragism and empire. Although gardens are often seen as a refuge, a place to escape from the troubles in modern world, this book reminds us of a period when British gardens were an arena for radical and far-reaching experiments, a time when a group of convention-busting women were gardening with purpose and quietly changing the world. So it's by Fiona Davison. I have no idea. I love any book set in a garden. I mean, one of my favorite books of all time is The Secret Garden. I think I've read that 3 or 4 times. There's very few books that I read that often or reread to that extent other than The Great Gatsby. But this just looked absolutely interesting. So when I do read it, I'll also be doing a thing on some of the other gardening books that I've read or about gardening. So An Almost Impossible Thing by Fiona Davison. And this one is called The Windsor Knot, and this is a series by S.J. Bennett, and the main sleuth is Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. And I picked up 2 of these on my trip, and I picked up on a whim on the trip and started book number 2. And I have to admit, when I started, I was like, set it down. I went and read something else, picked it back up, and absolutely loved it. So they're set with Queen Elizabeth and her personal assistant. I don't know what the personal assistants are called. They use an acronym for it in the book, but APS, I believe it was. I'm not exactly sure what it stands for, but Rosie is her personal assistant, this young woman who had been in the military and now handles things for the Queen. So at this one, the first one, they're staying at Windsor Castle. There's an event or a party. A guest is found dead. And immediately the police are assuming that it had to have been somebody on staff that killed this person. The Queen is not so sure, so she begins sleuthing. So I just think they're really neat, really interesting little take on insights on Prince Philip and other members of the family. I think I would imagine the royal family probably would enjoy reading this. I mean, it's fun. It's light, and it's kind of a neat idea and premise. I will probably get in trouble for saying this. I was not a huge fan of The Crown TV show. I don't even know if it's still on. I thought it was kind of disrespectful to the Queen, and she was still alive at that point. So I know I'm one of not very many, but not a huge Crown fan. But this I thought was done really well and in a very positive nature. Also, S.J. Bennett, I believe her name is Sophie or Sophia Bennett, the author, has a podcast. You'll have to look it up by her name. I cannot remember it. I don't think there's any new episodes in the past couple of years, but she did some other great ones, and she interviewed authors like Jenny Colgan and whatnot. So it was fun. I've listened to the few of those as I've gone walking. So I would definitely recommend The Winds Are Not. I will be reading that very soon. And then I picked up The Appeal, and this is by Janice Hallett, and I think she's written 4 or 5, I'm not sure exactly how many, but this one is set, I think they're set on like stages of a crime. But anyways, this one is on appeal. So there's a mystery to solve in the small town of Lockwood. It starts with the arrival of 2 secretive newcomers and ends with a tragic death. Roderick Tanner, QC, has assigned law students Charlotte and Femi to the case. Somebody has already been sent to prison for murder, but he suspects that they are innocent and that far darker secrets have yet to be revealed. Throughout the Amateur Dramatic Society's disastrous staging of All My Sons and the shady charity appeal for a little girl's medical treatment, the murder hid in plain sight. Will Charlotte and Femi solve the case? Will you? And it looks really interesting. The inside, it looks like they're emails and text messages. So it's kind of a different premise. I'm looking forward to it. It's not a chapter and verse kind of book. So I'll let you know what I think. It's called The Appeal, and it's by Janice Hallett. And another one I'm going to talk about is A Death in the Parish by Reverend Richard Coles. It's actually written by a reverend, I believe he's in the Church of England. And this is the second in the series. This was the only one I found at a used bookstore, so I picked up number 2. And it's set in a small town called Champton, and the main character is Canon Daniel Clement. He tries to steady his flock. The parish is joined with Upper and Lower Bad Saddle, bringing a new tide of unwanted change. But church politics soon become the least of Daniel's problem. His mother, Audrey, is obviously up to something she is determined to keep from him, and she is not the only one. And then all hell breaks loose when the murder returns to Champton in the form of a shocking ritualistic killing. So I listened to a little interview with him. He seems like a really nice man. I think he's done some television broadcasting or speaking as well. Looks like an interesting man, but he is a priest with the Church of England, and it's called A Death in the Parish. And on the cover, you have a doxy and a kitty cat. So I'm definitely in a cozy mood starting out 2025. We're not really having a lot of winter here in California, but I don't know. They're just suiting my where I'm feeling right now. So anyways, by Richard Cole's A Death in the Parish. So there's quite a few more, but I won't bore you with that. But I just want to thank you for taking your time to listen, and please feel free to give me comments as I'm learning to do this whole video thing, set it up, what to do. And also don't forget to visit booksbloomsandbread.com. I also have a blog I'm working on. I don't have a lot of posts there yet, but working on getting this going in my free time. So thank you again for taking your time to watch, and I wish you all a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.